Welcome to The Kid is in School, where we talk about whatever we want since our kid is not here to interrupt us. But we don't have a lot of time before the bell rings, so let's get right into it. Well, holiday shopping time is here, and once again, I don't know what to get for anyone.
Well, you could get anything for anybody. Like, that's the thing about gifts. It's like, it doesn't have to be anything. I feel like most gifts people are going to not like anyway. So what difference does it make?
Wait a second. Yeah, I was really on point with. I was like, you're right. A gift is so beautiful. It doesn't matter what it is. And then you're like, because everyone's going to hate it anyway. Yeah, maybe. It's hard to guess. We're not psychic here. Well, one problem I have, especially with you, is buying the same thing over and over again. I get into a rut, like a thought rut, where I go, first of all, I like to only shop at TJ Maxx. That's my first problem. So I'm at TJ Maxx and I'm in the men's section. I'm like, well, here's the grooming materials. Here's the face scrub and the beard oil, and it's like, how many bottles of this do I need to see in the cabinet unused before I get the memo?
Don't even have a beard. So that's one thing.
That's the first problem. I really like the picture of the man with the beard on the beard oils.
I got beard oils, beard trimmers, beard wax, and mustache wax. I'm like, I don't have any of this.
I have aspirations for your facial hair that you don't have, I guess. So that's one thing I have. Do you ever get in a rut when you come to thinking with me? I feel like with you, you don't call it a rut. You just think of it as like, oh, this is easy. I know this person. They always like this.
No, I think with you, my philosophy on buying things for you has been, you usually give me a list. And I kind of just get the list because
and you nail it every year.
Yeah, and I nail it because you've told me what you want. And I think that's what I've learned just over the years with family, with friends, just when I've asked for things.
Yes.
Just growing up, there was a lot of times I would ask for something and I would get a variant of what I asked for or something that was not that at all.
Because they want it to be a surprise of some sort, I think.
Maybe they probably do want it to be a surprise. And but the thing is, for example, I was really, really into the Three Stooges all through high school and even into college. I just loved the Three Stooges. It's so funny. And so the people that were in my life, friends and family that asked me what I wanted for Christmas or birthdays or anything like that, I would always say something Three Stooges. Just give me, my room was covered with Three Stooges stuff.
People must have think you grew up in the 40s right now.
I know.
Or when was their era? They're the 50s?
They started, they probably died in the 70s.
Oh my gosh. So I feel that reference is so old, and it was old back then when you were a teenager.
Yes, but there was also a resurgence. There's always been a resurgence of the Three Stooges every decade because they would be on VHS tapes, on DVDs, on Blu-rays, on television shows. It was something that and probably now on streaming, they just come back every now and then. And their estate sells items. So they still make a lot of money on merchandise. And so I'd ask for that stuff. And almost nobody would get them for me. I'd be like, give me a Three Stooges poster, get me a tin sign, get me, something like that.
No one respects the Stooges.
And occasionally though, there was, like a work thing. If I had a work event, I just only had a job like when I was in senior in high school and a couple of college jobs. But sometimes you do that gift exchange.
Right.
I'd say Three Stooges stuff, and they get me a VHS box set. And it would be the same one that everybody gets at Walmart or something. I'm like, I've got this one 5 times, and I'd have to
rats
just throw it away.
See, I would go coasters.
That as long as it was Three Stooges coasters.
Yeah, Three Stooges coaster.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, well, that's the problem with items with graphics for you. I have to live with them, so it's hard for me to get things unless it's a cute T-shirt. I love getting you T-shirts because I like seeing them on you. But if it's if it's not something I would pick for my own home decor, it's hard for me to justify getting that for you now. When we lived in different homes, that was easier. But
it is a little different thing when you now dictate what you want to see and what I'm allowed to have.
Yeah, I get the comedy trope, but you're not wrong. I don't like whenever you're like, I'm the henpecked husband. It's like, that you really aren't. You are very bossy in your own right. So we butt heads a lot. But when it comes to who wins out on decor, I don't know. Don't you look around? Don't you see a lot of compromise or not?
There is a lot of compromise, but that's not what we're talking about here. It was that I couldn't put a Three Stooges poster on the wall right now. I think you'd be like, I'm not interested in that.
Right. We had a Three Stooges poster on the wall for a good several years, and I finally said, I'm tired of looking at it.
Yeah.
And
that's
similarly,
not henpecked, by the way. That's not henpecked to just say that you have certain things that you are willing to look at and things that you aren't. Henpecked would be, I never get anything, and she didn't, it's like,
I know the era of the henpecked husband was also simultaneously with she won't cook anything that tastes good. So it's like it's
also the Three Stooges era.
It was like, I need her to be
50s.
my mom, and she's also a very bad mom for me. It's a very but it's a weird time for comedy in my opinion. But I wasn't the audience back then. I was gonna say though, when you buy gifts for me with your interests in mind, it's like, see, let's say I buy face wash for you because I love face wash and I want you to know the joy of facial washing bubbles. You bought me a sleeveless Ninja Turtles t-shirt and you loved the way I looked in it. You were just like, wear your Turtles shirt. It's so cute, It was a flattering cutoff, but it was just so thin and soft that for me it was not substantial. Like, it didn't feel... It wasn't lingerie, okay? It was just...
That would be weird. Ninja Turtle lingerie.
Ninja Turtle lingerie. This is the clearance section at Victoria's Secret. But it wasn't something that I found, like, I would be cold when I wore it. So I didn't want to keep it on. And finally, I just thought, I never reached for this. I should probably get rid of it. And I remember when I gave it away, you were like, not your turtle shirt. You still loved it. So that was a gift that... It was nice that I received it, but it definitely meant something to you.
Yeah, well, I did like the way that you looked in it. I thought it was a very flattering cut and everything.
I agree. It looked cute.
And that happens, like with, spouses. You'll get me a sweater or something like that. And I'm like,
I love you in sweaters.
I hate sweaters.
He hates sweaters.
And they look terrible on me. I look awful. They
really don't.
I'm so embarrassed every time I wear them. It's like Ralphie wearing the bunny costume. I'm just like, please don't make me go in public.
And then I'll be like, today's Hollywood leading men wear sweaters, and that's okay, right? Like, you see them, you don't look embarrassed for them. Are you embarrassed for them?
But the leading men you're talking about, you're like, look, Tom Hanks and You Got Mail is wearing a sweater. Look at that. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to look like that.
Is that who you're picturing?
It's...
Because I'm picturing Jason Momoa, Brad Pitt.
When do you see them in
Idris
sweaters?
Elba.
You're picking people who half the time don't even wear a shirt, let alone a sweater.
You need to stop. Maybe I read more magazines than you do. I don't think it's hard to find a leading man.
What Sweaters Monthly are you reading?
Okay, I'm clearly baffled by your sweater disdain. Woo! But oh my gosh, I just you know what I'm sad about? I'm further away from getting you in a sweater now after this combo.
Good. I don't put a list of things I do want for Christmas. I put a list of things I don't want. I don't want sweaters. I don't want face wash. I don't want mustache wax.
Tom Hanks. Anyway, jeez. What was my point?
Yeah. Look at this. Here's a really sexy guy. Kevin James is wearing a sweater. I'm like, what? I look like Kevin James.
I've got tears in my eyes. Woo. All right. So here, this was supposed to be me dunking on you, not you dunking on sweaters. I want to tease you about how you, for a while, were buying your brother a mug every year. And every year you'd be like, I wonder what to get my brother. I know it's going to be a mug, but which one? And I was like, maybe he has enough mugs.
No, see, that's because I learn what people like. And so I go, what do they like? And I don't stray from it until they tell me they don't like it.
Yeah, until you finally realize that it was not necessary. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I don't know. I think if somebody bought me the same item over and over again, one, I would stop requesting it from everybody else because I knew I was going to get it from them. My mom, for example, bought me really cute calendar. It was themed from a certain artist, and I loved receiving it every year. Now, finally, this artist, I think, has discontinued the calendar, and I don't know what to do with my life.
Was it Calvin Hobbes? Was that the artist?
No. The theme was Curly Girl, and, if you guys follow me on social, Curly Comedy's in my handle. I play with my curly hair a lot. That's a weird way to put it.
What do you mean you play with your curly hair a lot?
Okay. But I mean, I like to style my hair.
Well, that's one way to put it. You know,
on Instagram, like I have my comedy Instagram or whatever, my brand. I have my personal life on Instagram, but then I have
my brand is plain with curly hair.
No, I have a secret, a Finsta, if you will, that's also public, that is just me talking about nail polish and curly hair care. So I like to try different shampoos and conditioners. I'm laughing because this is not fun for you at all. You don't go to like Walgreens and say, ooh, which conditioner can I try today? You probably think of like, what's the one conditioner I'm going to buy for the next 5 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's...
Or tell Abby that I'm out of conditioner and she can just pick one for me.
I think the last time I even cared about what type of conditioner it was is... I think this was in high school. For some reason, horse hair shampoo was very popular.
Yes, it was. What was the goal there? To get your hair as shiny as some fictional horse in your mind? I've never seen a horse with good hair.
The name of it was like Golden Mane or something like
Mane
that.
and Tail.
Mane and Tail.
It's still around.
And like, was it actually for horses and then people were putting it on their hair?
I think so, yeah. It was in a big bottle. You could find it at a beauty supply, and it was good enough for horses, but made for pH balanced for a human.
Wow, that's.
Anyway, so you wanted that. You bought the hype on the horsetail hair.
That's the only time I even remember it being something my mom bought, and like, oh, try this.
Yeah. Well, the goal is shine. Right. You want your hair to be shiny. But the funny thing is, every time I think about a horse, I picture flies around it. It's got tangles. Horses don't have cute hair unless they're show horses, and I don't know anything about that world.
A broken down horse, the U-shaped steed, where it's like this guy's about to be glue, and you've got, you're like, I don't want to look like this guy.
I don't want his shampoo. I want to free him. So yeah, I know what you mean about like some stuff just doesn't make you tick. Similarly, for me, what doesn't make me tick, but you do get excited about, is a YouTube video describing an old video game console or how a game was played.
I consider those documentaries.
It will be the same monotone dude. He's speaking in a monotone, and he is telling you some kind of review. I mean, I just fall asleep instantly when it starts talking.
Well, sometimes I'll fall asleep to it. At nighttime, but
it's soothing. It's your ASMR.
It is something where, like, if it's something I don't like, it's the weirdest, most bizarre thing ever. Like watching kids open Kinder eggs. Like children will watch other kids on YouTube open toys and play with them and stuff.
That bothers you.
I'm like, why would you ever want to do that? And then I'm watching somebody unbox a old Nintendo console or something like that. So.
Yes, and they're talking about, what do they talk about in those videos? How gameplay, the sound, the music.
I particularly like the ones that have history, like the history behind something. Like this is who was working on this. This is the development of it.
So it starts with an interest, something that already piques your interest, and then it gives you more info. I'm the same way with nail polish.
It's a deep dive.
Yeah. I was trying to explain on some podcast that I was a guest on why I'm interested in nail polish, and it's not because the colors are pretty. It started out that way. I was like, oh, I can have my nails look nice. But it became like the formula, the texture, the viscosity, what year it was made. Do they make it anymore?
The only viscosity I know about is like a motor oil. They always talk about viscosity.
They do talk about it then. It applies to motor oil and wine, the viscosity of the legs on your wine glass. Okay, I'm going to leave that to you viewers at home to look up.
Yes.
Listeners at home to look up.
What's the term? Sommelier?
Sommelier. Okay, sommelier.
Sommelier.
Yes.
Sommelier. Okay, hey, look I'm speaking Italian here.
Duolingo
or French,
over here.
Or one of the other Latin
You too can learn one word of French by repeating it 8 times.
That should be our YouTube videos, like teaching somebody. You can learn one word.
Yeah. How you choose to apply it in your everyday life is up to you.
Yeah. Sommelier. You're like, what?
Robert Goulet.
Here's
another reason shopping for my family is tricky, is because I like to find freebies on the street. And if they're not unopened, if they are unused, but out of the package, I find that to be a good gift to give. My sister, on the other hand, finally spoke up and was like, do not give me any more garbage.
That's why she put hit time. And by the way, just so we're clear, because not everybody has this.
Okay.
Where they live is people in New York City and in Brooklyn where we live put things that they don't want anymore but are still desirable to people. They will just put them out on the stoop or in front of their home for other people to take. So
right, they're front steps essentially.
Right. It's not dumpster diving like you would have other places where like, a guy pops out of a garbage can and goes, "I found something here." It's not like that.
And she also calls things I bought for myself but no longer want to use, that's also garbage to her. She's like, it's regifting is what I'm talking about here. And some people take great offense at receiving a regifted item. I don't. In fact, I love when someone's purging their old cabinets. I'm like, what do you got in there? I want to see it. We were visiting a friend recently in his apartment building. Someone put in the elevator, "Hey, freebies on the 5th floor." And I went, after seeing him, I went back into the elevator and thought, oh no, I forgot to go check out the freebies. And someone in the elevator was with me. And she said, "Oh, I just came from there." And I said, "What did they have?" And she's like, "Oh, like a broken mixer and half a barbecue sauce." And I'm like, okay, good to know.
Half a barbecue sauce.
Just when people throw out their spices.
There is sometimes like people don't know the etiquette of it because there is an etiquette to putting things out in front. You do not put out open food items.
Right. I draw the line at food.
I've seen that before.
Even, I think I've brought home tea bags because they were still in the paper box, but I checked the expiration date on the box.
I would not.
You would not have a box of tea.
No. I don't bring anything like plush toys,
but
stuffed
you can
animals.
Sanitize those.
No, because bed bugs are a concern for me. So I don't want anything a bed bug could get into. A mattress, a cushion, a pillow, nothing.
You're right. I have not brought that home. I'm looking at a doll, though, that I did get from a Goodwill type store, but I looked it up online to see the value and I checked it out for everything.
Some people do that. Like I'm not
This doll talks, by the way.
A plushie or doll collector, but some people are, and they will, these things are going up in value, I guess, if you can find certain stuffed animals.
Yeah, that's one benefit to looking for freebies or stoop finds. I call them stoop finds, or a really popular Instagram is called Stooping in NYC. So I love finding. I found like cuticle oil. Maybe some people would find that gross. I've brought home shampoo. These are people's
shampoo. I don't want.
That's a little too intimate for you.
Yeah. Cuticle oil, I think I'd be okay. I think oil-based things that go on.
If it hasn't touched
surface,
someone's, you have to. It could have been contaminated, but you have to make sure it hasn't touched someone else's skin.
It's all based on viscosity, whether I can bring it in or not.
So for me, I don't mind if you regift something. I mean, if it's expired makeup, I'm not going to put it anywhere near me. But if it's something that's not opened, I will look into it.
Well, there's certain things like that I collect, like video games. So if somebody wanted to regift me their video game stuff, like somebody's like, "Oh, I have an old Wii I don't use anymore. Mm-hmm. I'll just give it to Luke as his Christmas gift." That would be great.
Yeah.
Like I would love that.
What if it has a dried mustard stain on it?
I can clean a mustard stain.
You like to refurbish. You're like me. If I see an old nail polish bottle that someone put on their stairs and it's half dried and it's covered and you can't even read the label, I will clean that up and I will restore the interior. And it's a great feeling.
Now, I wouldn't want like a T-shirt with a mustard stain. I don't want that.
You draw the line at clothing with food. I should write these things down.
Yeah, it has to. Well, like I said, there's rules. There's a etiquette.
There's an etiquette. If you're gonna put something, if I put clothes out, I make sure to wash it first. Even knowing full well that you will probably wash it again when you bring it home, I don't put out dirty clothes with pit stains and pit smells on them.
No stank clothes.
Nope. But some people don't have qualms about that. Some people don't remove the pet hair when they put out a pillowcase. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all of this probably seems very weird if you don't live in New York because people just don't really do this other places. But I think the difference would be is that because in New York, a lot of people are transient here, so they're not born and raised in New York City, so they might have family that is somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Now, if you live around your family, like we have family in Indiana, if you're tired of something, you might say, "Hey, my niece or cousin or sister or brother, do you want this thing?" Mm-hmm. And if you don't want it, I'm just going to throw it out or take it to Goodwill. Mm-hmm. And they might say, "Sure, I'll take that." So there's like that layer.
The concept exists, yes. Outside of New York. It's just, it sounds a little different because we're all complete strangers to each other a lot of the time.
Yes. So that's
and
why
there is no asking. It's just you leave it out, and then you're the elf that picks it up and takes it away. Something interesting I found out was on this Facebook group about Buy Nothing. There's different neighborhoods that have this. A lot of people right after Thanksgiving were giving away half pies.
Half pies?
Yeah, like they're like, I got a pecan and I got 3/4 of a pumpkin here. And I saw multiple posts like this. And then the other weird thing, they were all claimed.
Wow. I've not eaten any stranger's food.
No, I like pie, but I would much rather pay full price.
No, I've got that thing in my head from, the late 80s, early 90s where you don't accept food from strangers. Like you don't even eat candy unless it's in a wrapper and it's been checked by your parents.
Yeah.
I still have to have my parents check
for the razor blades. We call your parents up. Yeah. I never got this, but I always thought I would make an exception for a popcorn ball because they look so cute. You ever seen one of those?
I did see popcorn balls, but I don't think I ever received one.
We got to make some.
Yeah. Well, we have a daughter. We can make them for her. We act like we have to do this for ourselves.
They're completely impractical, though. Nope. After you make one popcorn ball, you don't want to eat anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So probably all this seems weird. Like there is weird stuff that you do see in New York that is just plain weird. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to explain it because I never see it anywhere else. I was at a coffee shop and I saw a woman eating gum. I don't mean chewing gum. She was eating gum.
Oh, no.
Like she had multiple packs of gum and she would take a stick out. They were, the stick kind. And it looked like pink bubble gum. Uh-huh. And she put it in her mouth, chewed it up and swallowed it. And she unwrapped another one, chewed it up, swallowed it. And she went through multiple packs just pounding this gum.
Multiple packs?
Multiple packs of gum.
What is going
Bubble
on?
Gum. Yeah, and
what is going on? Are you sure it was gum? Was it
100%? It's
yeah, that's unmistakable.
Yeah, it's pink bubble gum.
There's nothing like gum that isn't gum.
Yeah. There's no candy. There's no you have candy cigarettes. There's no candy gum.
Pretend gum.
Yeah, pretend gum. It's not really gum. We just made it to look exactly like gum, and because it was something like Carefree, like that sugar-free gum.
I could picture that.
So
I would rather do that with Big League Chew.
Yeah, but the thing is and she looked just like an average woman.
Wow.
She was probably like 35, 40.
That sounds so unpleasant. Swallowing gum on purpose over and over again.
Just pounding it. And in public. And I was looking around, when you see something weird and you want to catch other people's eyes, like, hey, are we all seeing this here? Are we seeing this?
I would look around for hidden cameras.
But the thing is, nobody else seemed to care or know this. I'm doing that thing where I'm like pointing. You see this, and people are like, "What's wrong with this guy?"
You're a normal New Yorker in that respect. But if you lived here even longer, you'd be the normal New Yorker who goes, "What is the matter with you?"
Yeah.
Hey, anybody else seeing this?
Hey, you. Well, stop doing that.
That's not good for you.
That's not good for you. That lasts 7 years in your body, I think.
Well, I know that everybody is different to somebody, and I know that I do something weird. That if people saw me doing it, they'd be like, "What's going on there?" And it is smiling in people's direction, but not at them, because I see someone coming down the street, and I think, oh. In the past, I've said hi, and then they don't say hi back, so I want to leave them alone. But I also want to seem pleasant, so I've taken up just smiling, but not making eye contact.
So you're kind of smiling in the general direction.
Right. It's like they're just caught up in my own prescription drug commercial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm live reenacting
so you just look like a strange person that just had a pleasant thought
I guess
to themselves.
So. Yeah, or is just so nervous that they're smiling uncontrollably but not wanting to interact with the person that's in their immediate vicinity. I don't know. I just know that it probably looks weird, but it's either that or say hi to people and have them be like, "What do you want, ma'am?"
I know. That's even weirder to a New Yorker. They'd rather you just have, your own special time to yourself, smiling and
now sometimes
moving on.
I was walking the dogs today and I passed a couple, and the woman they were younger than me, but the woman was making eye contact with me. So I thought, okay, this is a chance to say good morning. Here's my big chance. So I smile at her. She smiles back. Her partner, the guy she's with, looks at me because I'm smiling, and I say, "Good morning," and they both say nothing and keep moving. And I'm like, was it not loud enough? What is the deal? We almost had a connection.
It was loud enough.
We almost had a connection, and then we didn't. So yeah, in New York,
it is
try not to say hi.
It is very bizarre because of being Midwestern to have people just straight up ignore a good morning or a hello.
Right.
for somebody that's not familiar, they aren't looking away. They're looking directly at you.
Yes.
And you know that they saw you and heard you, and they just don't acknowledge it.
I just can't. I don't have it in me. I thought I would try that someday of just like, I don't care who's looking at me on the street. I'll look back and not say hello, but I just can't do it.
I can't do it.
It feels
either.
too weird.
It is very weird.
But conversely, in the Midwest, you could be grocery shopping and the person behind you will randomly start talking about what you bought.
Yes.
And expect you to be happy about it. They'll be like, love that macaroni and cheese deal. My family can't get enough of it. And you're like, excuse me?
I know. It feels like, do you need friends? This happened, I'm driving back from a gig with a couple of comics, and this is 3 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And we stopped at a gas station just to take a little break. And the gas station attendant that was checking us out, with the snacks and stuff, he was talking to the other comic, and the comic had already checked out, and he's having a full-on conversation about his roommate situation.
What?
And I'm like, I have my stuff. I haven't paid yet. I'm, keep
You're
doing
clearly
this,
next.
inching closer. Like, can you check me out? He finally checks me out.
Yeah.
And he's still talking to the other comic, and me and the third comic, we just start walking out backwards, like, all right, we're leaving. And the guy's still having a roommate conversation. And so we go outside, and as I'm going, I'm like, all right, we're leaving. So
wrap it up.
Wrap up this last chance to get out. And he was able to go out. But I'm just like, do you not, I guess he doesn't. I was going to say, do you not catch normal social cues? But it's like, you work at a gas station at 3 a.m. in the morning. You do not get normal social cues. Ever.
Right. He hit on a track he liked, and he's like, well, I'm not going to get this conversation
I know,
again.
It's like asking a vampire, like, do you not eat normal food? Why are you trying to, eat my blood? Like, it doesn't, what is something wrong with you? It's like, yes, there is something
I
wrong
do
with
not eat normal food. I think that's the other pet peeve of mine, though, is when you are clearly in line, ready to be waited on, like at a deli or at a bagel cafe in New York City, and they see you, they'll make eye contact with you, but they're not ready for you. Actually, I'm take that back. They won't make eye contact with you. They'll be like inches from your face, clearly writing something down or fiddling, and then there's no clearing your throat. There's nothing you can do. And sometimes I'll just go, are you ready for me yet? And they'll say, not yet. And I'll go, okay. Because I'm like, every other cue is here that you should just look up and I should say my order.
I know. Oh, lines. I have a lot of pet peeves with lines, because anybody that tries to cut or inch up, like, I now have, I think no matter where you're from, you have this thing. It's like, excuse me, you're cutting the line.
Yeah,
but
you can point it out.
I know, but now I've been in New York long enough that I don't have like the politeness with it. It's like, there's a line. There's a line, just so.
I'd say there's a line too.
Yeah, because it's
I
like. I
don't think of it as rude though.
No, it's
they're the ones being rude.
They're the ones being rude. And
they should know better.
I was in line. This is on a road gig. I was in line. What I thought was in line for some cheese sticks at a thing, and I asked the people in front of me, "Are you guys in line for this?" And they're like, "Yes, we're in line. You haven't ordered?" Nope. Okay. And then I saw people just going around us placing their order.
Oh, that's so annoying.
And I was like, the order is 3 feet over from where we're standing.
Yeah.
And the people working didn't go, hey, if you haven't ordered yet, it's over here.
Right.
And so now I have to go get in that line. Mm-hmm. And I'm now 7 people deeper than I was if I had just got it.
Yeah. People aren't looking out for each other there. They should have just said, I always say that when I step up and I see people waiting, I don't know if they're waiting to order or they've already ordered. So I ask.
I know. And this was Central Pennsylvania. It's a smaller town that was doing this fundraiser.
People of the land.
They know the people's faces.
Yes.
And you know my face for sure, because I'm wearing bright glasses and I'm ready to perform for you guys. You know whether I ordered or not. Mm-hmm. It's not just some random thing. I'm just standing.
You mean the people working there should know if they've waited on you?
Yes, they should know, like, hey, come over here. There's you can order here.
Yeah.
Instead, they just sit there smoking a cigarette, waiting for somebody to walk up to them.
I can't tell if I'm a problem or if they're a problem.
They're the problem.
They're the problem.
It's always them.
But I have strong opinions either way. I must come in with this energy of just like, I'm here. Somebody look at me. And they're like, she wants it too bad. We got to ignore her for at least 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, there's a different, like, I think we even talked about this before, where it's like, the apathy in New York in terms of customer service, where there's just so many people that if you have a product that somebody wants,
yes,
you're going to get the customers, regardless of what you're like. And it's the places that have to sell you on what their product is that really need to have the good customer service, or they're going to go out of business here.
Yes, of course.
But someplace like CVS is never going out of business here. People need to go get their antacids and
yes, and therefore the workers don't have to shine,
right.
Smile and what is it? Shine you up? And sometimes that's what I'm thinking.
I'm not sure if that. I think that's the
shine you on.
The tail and mane and tail.
It's a Three Stooges expression.
Yes,
it's from their era. Anyway, so that you're saying they don't have to work that hard to please you as the customer.
Yes,
I get that. I passed a restaurant in the neighborhood that has since gone out of business, but remembering when it was in business, it was always empty. And I usually feel sorry for small startups or, locally owned businesses that don't get to make it after a year, even though statistically it's kind of likely within 5 years that you're going to struggle. But this one, I was so glad when it closed because I was like, I didn't like the look of your menu. Your prices were ridiculous. Your ambiance was, there was nothing about it. Everything screamed, we don't know what we're doing here, but come and enjoy our food anyway.
Oh, there's a lot of that here. There's I remember one of my first experiences with you in New York. It wasn't that, or we had just moved here. We had been here maybe a couple of years, but we went to a restaurant and I was like, we want to support this local business. Of a certain demographic, we want to support them. And so we go in and they have a soul food menu and we're like, this is great, but there's nobody here.
Everything looked good.
Everything sounded good.
And we were the only people in there.
We were the only people in there. And they took our order and we waited and waited and waited. And there's nobody coming in and out.
It was like a bad dream.
It was a bad dream. It was
like 2 hours, I think, went by before we got our food.
It was almost 2 hours before we got our food. Now, me as the age I am now, no chance. After 20 minutes, I'd be like, "Is our food coming?"
And you know to speak up, but we were younger, and I remember what ended up on our plate. Do you remember? I got pork chops, and they were like medallions, but there were two of them. They were no larger than a chicken nugget.
They were tiny,
it was hilarious.
Even at one point, where we had waited probably already 45 minutes, and we're like, "Hey, is our food ready?" "Oh yeah, it's going to be ready soon." The cook goes out of the kitchen, goes out front, and smokes a cigarette for 15 minutes.
And he's the only cook because it was like a one-room place, right?
Yes.
Like the kitchen there was some kind of partition, but ceiling, we all had the same ceiling, so we could hear that there was one person back there.
Yeah, there was only one person back there. There was a waitress and a cook, and that was it. And I would understand, like, if they were packed and that's all the staff they had, and it's taken this long. And nope.
That was very, very strange. Now that you've seen Kitchen Nightmares, what do you think was really going on there?
I think they didn't know what they were doing. And so, they didn't concern themselves with making sure their customers were taken care of. And it should have been something that we just walked out. Mm-hmm. We should have said, and that place went out of business almost immediately.
Well, the funny thing is, if you said an hour and a half in, cancel our order, they'd say, no problem, we haven't even started it.
Yes, yeah. We haven't even started.
We would have been in the clear. Anyway, well, what can you do? I want to talk to you about social media, the landscape shifting. Specifically, Twitter ownership has changed hands, and I have spent less time on there because it's hard. I usually use Twitter to make jokes. And if it's hard to see people engage with my comedy, like nobody wants to like a tweet or retweet, or they only want to talk about a certain thing, the people I'm following, we're all caught up into what are the changes going to be? Is Twitter going under? So it got so unfun for me and was really bogging me down that I set a limit on my phone to only activate the app for 15 minutes a day. So let me talk to you about life after Twitter.
Okay.
Because I'm still on there. I still check in. I opened a Mastodon account. I still do Instagram. It's not like I've really ever put my phone down.
And also, do you stick with the 15-minute time limit?
I also snooze the 15-minute timer at least 3 times. So, no, I'm putting in... But honestly, it used to just be no limit. So I would check it like a lab rat randomly throughout the day for my random reward. And, I would get a notification by the end of the week. Your screen time went up. Like every single week it would go, your screen time went up this week. So anyway, for the very first time in my life, I'm monitoring screen time, and you know what's one result is? I'm reading books again. I haven't read hard copy pages in a decade.
What are you doing that for? We got Kindle.
I tried your Kindle.
Books.
I tried your Kindle. Now I am looking into maybe attention problems that I have, but honestly, it's just there's been that, and so there's like a sense of peace that comes over me. I never realized that when I'm online, there is a buzzing sound that happens in my brain. Yeah, you just ignore it. I'm actually, this is a metaphor, but you're walking on the sidewalk and there's a construction site you're passing and there's a drill. Is that what it's called?
Jackhammer?
Jackhammer, thank you. There's a jackhammer sound and you're still trying to have a conversation with your friend, but you can't, but the jackhammer, has that. That's what my brain feels like when I'm on social media now. Probably because my attention's pulled in two different ways, but I'm still trying to focus on one thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think that that's a rare thought with this stuff is that social media, for one, if you have any attention issues, that's all that Twitter is. Like, hey, here's this thing. Here's another random thing. Here's something that has no relation to those things.
Right.
And here's now 144 things about this one topic. And it's not, I think, the way that we're meant to communicate.
No, I know. And it's intellectually I could have agreed with you, but now that I've experienced it, it's like, whoa, I can't believe I was sucked into that hole for so long. And I'm not calling Twitter the hole. I'm calling pretty much the iPhone is the hole for me. It's just like
the iPhone itself.
It's my baby. It's my friend. But just, yeah, the dividing of attention, like where I put my focus was largely on a screen. And before we had our child, you and I had issues with it. It would be, we had to institute rules like no phone at the dinner table.
Yeah.
You're like, I need to have eye contact once a day, please.
You got to pay attention. I feel like it's, in Back to the Future 2, yeah. I think it is when Marty's in the future and he sees his family and the kids literally have like these goggles on their face and they're playing games or watching television on screens.
Oh, I forgot about that.
They're almost like big sunglasses. Uh-huh. And that's what we were at some point where you just like had the phone directly in front of your face while we were eating.
Pretty much. And I think, if you're listening right now and you're thinking, well, I'm not that bad. You are. You're that bad too.
Yeah. You're on your phone.
Ask somebody that loves you.
Right now, you're listening to this podcast and you're scrolling Twitter right now. It's bad.
You're dividing your attention, and just me talking about it makes you want to do it some more. That's the other thing of like, if the great experiment is it's just like a yawn. If someone yawns near you, you accidentally yawn. People have studied that for years. But honestly, if you just are with your friend and you're having a silent moment and you pick up your phone, even as an experiment, you don't really have anything to look at. They will within seconds pick up theirs. Like it's this weird, it's like an opportunity for them. Like, oh, good. Connection time is over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had that where, like, if I got a text or something like that, work-related, I'd check it real quick, and then I'd look up and you were reading something on Twitter. I'm like...
deep in Wordle. Yeah. I'm on Twitter laughing at a joke. You're like, you were just...
Yeah. I was gone for 2 seconds.
Yeah, I was gone for 2 seconds. I'm like, oh, you're on your phone. Yeah. So anyway, it's that's been nice for me. Have you noticed any changes in me? Less whining about Twitter?
You talk about Twitter less. Actually, I would say you probably talk about Twitter more.
Unfortunately.
Because you're not on Twitter being silent.
That's the problem with anybody that has a life change and the revelations come in. They have to share them. They proselytize.
It is. It's like you just found out about veganism or this new weight loss thing or NFTs or...
That's next on my list. All those things coming up. I'm actually considering for the new year, I know it's ahead of schedule, but I'm considering giving up sugar again.
Well, you've got, a month now, you're kind of prepping yourself. What am I going to make my New Year's resolution?
I'm a big resolutions fan. You're not, right? Is that not your thing?
I mean, it's a good delineation between past and future, I guess you can say. It's a good marker where you can say, November 1st, now I'm keeping track of stuff. But like I stopped doing sweets on February 28th, and that's just a marker where I know.
Has it really been that long?
Yeah.
February. That's almost an entire year.
I know.
We're in November.
How are you sure? We had a previous episode where I brought this up.
We did, but I was picturing like springtime, April. I don't know. That was truly last February? Wow.
Yes. And so I did have, I've had sweets on my birthday, but like
I have a very weird concept of time. You know that about me, but
I think
honestly,
that's happening to me though. Like, I'm not sure I understand time at all. Like,
because,
Robin Williams passing anniversary just came up, and I think it was 2011.
No.
And I was like, get out of here.
I would have guessed 2015. What would you have guessed?
2017.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I would have guessed that, but I think somebody said that it was 2000.
We might need to fact check that one.
Well,
that feels too long ago.
Well, maybe that's even part of my problem with time is I can't even remember what date somebody said.
But back to your point about not having sweets, our neighbor offered us some cake, some delicious pumpkin cake, tres leches. So it was like both pumpkin bread plus tres leches cake combined. It was so good. And she said, should I cut a piece for Luke? I said, no, he's off sweets right now. But I feel like that's only the 5th time I've said it in my life. But yet it's been since February. So you've been, I've been saying that a lot lately to people, I'm sure.
Maybe when somebody is giving you sweets, you don't even bother to think about me and the whole thing.
Well, on the contrary, when I buy it in the store, I'm like, Luke's off sweets, so I better get this for myself.
Yes. Yeah, let me have 2.
And exactly. I'm going to have double the amount because I don't have to share it now.
I know. By the way,
that means I've been eating twice the amount of sweets since February.
Yes,
people.
That's a lot of sweets.
I feel it. I see it. I feel it, and I see it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and before we go, just to do a little fact check, he died in 2014.
Okay, so I was closer. Ballpark.
But still, do you think that was almost 9 years ago?
No. Who was I in 2014? I was touring with some ladies. We did not even have an idea of having a kid.
No, I would have thought it would. If it wasn't for COVID being in 2020, I would have said he passed away in 2020. But I knew that it was prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, the shock has worn off. I remember crying. He's one of the very few celebrities I would actually cry if they passed because he brought so much joy to me that it was just like knee jerk, like, oh no.
I know, yeah. That was a rough one. The hardest one ever for me was Macho Man Randy Savage. When he passed away, I was like, man, that was the end of the youth.
Well, he was young, right? Was he in his 50s or 60s?
I think he was probably close to 60, maybe 58, something like that. Then again, I don't know numbers at all. So, when did he pass away? I don't know. February, when I stopped eating sugar? I don't know.
We're experts on a lot of things, but some stuff, me, time, no. You, numbers, not really. Spelling, occasionally, but
I'm
mostly.
bad at spelling. Very bad at spelling. But
you don't feel
I wanted to make sure that we had that correction before we ended because there was probably somebody, as soon as they heard that number, they shut off the podcast and then have gone down a Google or Twitter rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Just searching the internet, and now they're stuck.
Which is a good time to say, if you've got something you want to correct us on, please let us know. Where do you want them to let us know? In the comments on Instagram, in the comments on Twitter?
They can let us know anywhere they want.
May she rest in peace. I think, we want feedback, and we're going to incorporate it into future episodes. We want you guys to feel like you're part of the conversation, so definitely do that. In the meantime, I'm going to go order some Christmas cards that you don't see the point of.
Okay, well, I don't. I thought you were going to say you're going to go eat 2 desserts.
Well, I'm going to do that later, too. Now that I remember that pumpkin cake that's still in the fridge, I ate part of it, and then I gave our daughter some, but she didn't eat all of her slice, so I'm going to have the rest.
Yeah, you gave her a sliver of her own slice, you ate the rest, and now you have mommy's slice that she does not get a sliver of.
It's for her own good. Thanks for joining us today. If you had a great time, let us know on social. Follow Kid is in School on Twitter and The Kid is in School on Instagram. Subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. Be sure to throw us one of those 5-star ratings and share with your friends. Oh, and do it quickly before the kid gets home.